Hi, everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Meet with Digital Thinkers Fireside Chat, a series where we have been showcasing stories of digital leaders who have been transforming businesses using technology. In today's episode, we bring to you one such digital leader, and there is a whole lot of innovation that is involved in this story. Now, when we talk about innovation, we have all heard of it as that one big idea, but it often needs more than just an idea to succeed. And while the idea is really the crux, what is equally important is the ability to turn that idea into reality. And even more critical is how fast you can do that and how rapidly you can scale it up to keep pace with the rapidly changing customer expectations. And especially in today's, evolving market situation, highly volatile circumstances, being able to change, to adapt, to scale up rapidly is something which is key. Now, lack of agility and scalability, in fact, can be one of the biggest barriers to innovation and transformation for businesses, especially in today's evolving digital economy. And when we are talking of an innovation that is as revolutionary as building an electric scooter that can redefine mobility for Indian roads, and that has the capability to evolve based on road data, driving habits, and vehicle performance, we are talking of performance capabilities of an unprecedented scale. Now, for Ather Energy, a Bangalore-based startup that launched India's first intelligent electric scooter, providing mobility solutions to people from all walks of life, this has been made possible with cloud. And in today's episode, we bring to you how Google Cloud is helping Ather Energy realize its vision of intelligent mobility powered by artificial intelligence and IoT. And to talk about Ather's cloud journey, I have Ram Bhavaraju, Head of Software and Web Technologies, Ather Energy. Ram is a senior engineering leader, currently heading software and web technologies at the company. He has a master's degree from the US and has worked for multiple years in the US. Ram has been part of on-site offshore setup and driven projects in agile methodology. Additionally, he has varied experience in e-commerce, having been part of teams in Redbus, Simply Learn, and Paytm. At Ather, he leads software development efforts which work end-to-end from vehicle to customer. So welcome, Ram, and we are really looking forward to hear the innovation story from you. And to take the discussion forward, I would like to invite Chintan Shah, Head Internet and Software Business, Google Cloud. Chintan is a business leader with a successful track record of working with customers on the transformation journey in the India and US geographies. He brings a rich experience in working with enterprise and startups, helping them reimagine their current business processes and transform their business by leveraging technology. And over the course of his career, Chintan has built successful sales teams and is adept at managing customer relationships. So before I hand it over to Chintan, I would like to request all of you who are attending this session, if you have any questions for Ram and Chintan during the course of the conversation, do drop in your questions, write your questions in the Q&A box, which is there in front of you. And we will take up those questions towards the end during the Q&A session. So in the meanwhile, I'll hand it over to Chintan to take forward the story of Ather Energy with Ram.
Thank you, Shipra.
Thanks, Shipra. Thank you so much.
Yeah, a warm welcome to you, Ram. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Thanks, Chintan.
For being with us on this program today. Ram, as the name of the series says, Meet the Digital Thinker. You had a very diverse journey, building high-performance engineering teams across many industries, like education, tech, travel and transportation, payments, and now you're busy redefining mobility for Indian roads. If you can tell us a little about Ather Energy, from how it started to launching India's first intelligent electric scooter featuring route optimization, predictive maintenance, that's completely redefining mobility for Indian roads.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chintan, for giving such a good description. Thanks, Shipra, for such a warm welcome into the session. Yeah, Ather had been a really fantastic journey for me. This is probably a new journey altogether. Ather itself, like a startup, started out of IIT Madras by Swapnil and Tarun, who are the founders, the founding members of Ather, and they always envisioned to have a electric vehicle, and they wanted to build a vehicle which is not only just like any other two wheeler, but want to build an intelligent scooter right from the start. So during the early days itself, they were so keen on getting that onto the cloud. So they were thinking to build a scooter which is what cloud agnostic, and probably also a cloud dependent right from the start. So the product or the features what were built on Ether, or the inception of Ether happened in the digital era. So we are in that way, we are typically not, we don't see ourselves as a typical automotive manufacturer in that sense, especially in terms of digital thinking. Because right from the offset, we were thinking about having an intelligent scooter, everything on the cloud, and think in the perspective of giving lots of insights and intelligence to the customers, and also give a great user experience based on that. And that's the reason, right from those days of inception to our first model out there, we were in the cloud, and it was really a good opportunity to be on Google Cloud right from the start. So right from those days of R&D of Swapnam, to now where we are truly with Google, and we really like the journey in that sense.
Sure. Thanks. It's very inspiring, and every time I see the product, it makes me proud that this has come out right from the garages, startup in India, and that's really amazing. Uh, so, Ram, turning the big idea of building an intelligent electric scooter, which is powered by AI and IoT, in reality requires a very powerful platform to support it. How did
Yeah.
you find Google Cloud to be the right platform for this?
Yeah, I mean, Google had been an innovator in terms of AI and IoT for a long time. If you see the overall timeline, right? If I'm not wrong, about 8 to 10 years back is when Google had invested in a company called as Firebase, when it was not even there. And Firebase had all the ingredients to help any of these beautiful startups which want to come. If you see, majority of the startups in India, they come out of their blooming ideas using Firebase, and you can just go and ask anyone without even knowing that it is cloud, it is not cloud. They would always talk about Firebase. In that sense, Google had been that kind of an innovator, always pushing the limits, and also investing in the right areas. If you see, whether it's a Firebase, whether it's AI or the IoT core, what it has. So for us as at Ather, when we started this intelligence scooter journey, it was a de facto choice in that sense. So whereas the rest of the cloud, what do you say, the cloud infrastructures or the cloud, the managed services which were there, had lots of upskilling to be done, because they were typically coming from a hardware or a, what do you say, a rack kind of like a methodology, whereas Google was coming more of do-it-yourself kind of methodology. In that way, for us, getting our basics right, or getting the things out very quickly was one of the motors, because now we are trying to get an electric vehicle that is also a two-wheeler in India, which is a mass market segment. The segment in two-wheelers in India is one of the biggest in Asia, and probably one of the biggest in the world also. If I consider Southeast Asia, it's one of those biggest in Southeast Asia. So getting into that kind of a segment and getting out a scooter, and trying to build the products and features in an iterative way. So if I take the use cases, right, I have like 5 use cases. I have to get it out. I have to have all the product and features. I should have very minimal upskilling, so that me and my team, or probably the team who's going to work on it, will have very small time, a lead time to get the product features out. And that is where Google Cloud had ticked all the right boxes. If I take at the IoT core, if I look at the BigQuery, which is the entire database engine, or the BigQuery, the analytics and all, it's quite easy, and it is so like the kind of managed services which it gives, or like just the Google Analytics or the analytics part of the BigQuery or the querying engine itself. It made the decision quite obvious, so that to be honest, in our organization, even a service technician would be able to run a query on BigQuery, where he has no idea of what is technology. And that is the beauty of these managed services what we got into. And it was more of a conscious decision in that sense, because we did evaluate the rest of the other cloud offerings which were there, and we looked at which would help not only the engineering teams or the software teams, but also help someone like a service technician to just quickly look at the data. Because here, for us as a scooter or a manufacturer, data is everything for us, and we always look at data, and we want to visualize it and understand what is happening at the scooter, because these are not typical your two wheelers where there are lots of mechanical parts in it. There are mechanical parts, but majority of it we can actually visualize and see what is happening with them. So in that way, Google Cloud had been the de facto choice in that sense.
Sure, Ram. As we say when we talk to customers, we talk about, when you use BigQuery, all you need to do is run query, and that's the whole idea, that your
Yep,
focus should be building better products.
exactly.
Uh, and as you rightly said, you capture and crunch hundreds of megabytes of data per vehicle, and that you do across thousands of vehicles every single day to improve user experience. And as you do that, you constantly evolve on road data, on driving habits, on vehicle performance. So how do you manage to do this in a very simplistic way?
Yeah, I mean, we actually it's GBs of data per bike every day, by the way. And it runs onto multiple GBs if I cross multiply it. Uh, yeah, as you said, the entire IoT, the kind of platform what Google had built, right? The biggest advantage what we have or what we see as a software engineering team is the ease of handling the data. We are at least the kind of engineering background what we get into, or the kind of engineers what we have in house. They always look at three main aspects of the data processing or data capabilities. One is the data at source, how to capture the data from the source, and data in transition, and data at rest, that is when you store it. And these three are beautifully captured under this entire IoT core set of services, especially all the data being sent through a pipeline, not worrying about whether the pipeline is stable, or all scooters are able to send the data, or what happens if there is a lag in sending the data. And all these things have been sorted out so very well. I know and also the kind of effort what Google makes. If we have any glitches, or we worked with Google in that sense for a long time, almost about 5 years now, and we had been giving constantly feedback to improve on that kind of an experience. In that way, it had become more of us and Google's sitting together and building the product over a period of time. And we have also evolved as a company, and that is where the larger data processing was becoming much more easier. We do have lots of good hands-on sessions. We do have lots of feedback sessions with the different Google architects, or probably the subject matter expertise from our side and also from the Google side. So it had become more of a joint collaboration in that sense, and working with the best of the practices. And there were times given by us where things could have been much better, and it was always positive in that sense when working in such a model. So for us, it's not about the data processing, it's not about the managed services, but it's about the entire idea of architecting it and taking it over there. And that is where probably the Google Cloud had given lots of advantages.
Sure. Thanks for sharing that. And of course, a key aspect of redefining mobility in Indian context is also about affordability. How's this partnership helping you bring affordable mobility by bringing down the TCO for consumers through various capabilities that such as you have structured electricity plan, predictive maintenance, route optimization you talked about earlier, and a lot of other features that you are delivering to your consumers.
Yeah. See, that is one of the key metrics what we follow as a engineering vertical. That is the total cost of ownership, and we usually take that as the base metric for whatever we do across the software engineering. So basically, how Google helped us it's again a very interesting story. So when we started out, we were consuming too many resources, and it was impacting our total cost of ownership. In fact, we were running into, are we running it the right way? Is it the right platform? Are the costs really high? So from that standpoint, and now if we look at the journey had been always about identifying the right set of infrastructure items and the managed services. It was a balance of both the things. Sometimes what happens is that everyone has this misconception that the managed services are always expensive, and managed services do take lots of your resources, whether it's terms of finances or probably running it up. But it is not the case every time. If you have a good mix of things and you understand how well to leverage all these things, you would always have the cost in control, because eventually a managed service can, the way it can scale up to your sudden surge in demand, or probably the sudden surge in spike of your own data capabilities versus having your own infrastructure. So we were trying to balance both the things, and we have also done lots of workshops in that sense. And the last 6 months, when especially during these COVID times, we have done lots of workshops, and I really had to thank you and your team helping us quite a bit in that sense. We've done workshops on something like Kubernetes to reduce the overall infrastructure cost, and we also worked on specifically in terms of like IoT and IoT, and specifically in terms of real-time database use cases. So what these workshop did was that we were when we were doing this workshop, we were looking at what we are using. Are we using it right? Are we like over provisioning it or probably under provisioning it? What is the best mix of things? While we have our own sense of how much we have to run, it is also it's always good to have that kind of a collaboration or a feedback to ask from some of the subject matter expertise. And then we have also done a program for onboarding the preemptive virtual machines, and that was again one of the recent programs what we have done. We have successfully tested it out in our staging, in our dev environments, and then we also have onboarded that into our production in a lesser vulnerable applications. Because see, again, this again came through the workshop that there would be some vulnerabilities around these cost optimizations, and as an application developer, or as an applications platform, we should be matured enough to handle such vulnerabilities and also probably the fluctuations and all. And that is where these the workshops help quite a bit. It's just not about our own knowledge and background into it. It is also the kind of feedback we got into that really helped us quite a bit. And to be honest with you, we did review it from April 2020 to October 2020. We have cut down our total cost of ownership almost by 30-40% in terms of infrastructure. Just the infrastructure, how much we have run. So we have optimized that much in the last 6 months, working on these multiple collaborative workshops, and also looking at how we are optimizing a few of the best practices out there in the industry.
Right. No, absolutely. And it's a great example of partnership where we were working collectively towards a common goal. And that's
Yeah.
very refreshing to hear. And I'm also very, delighted to hear when you say that, managed services is not necessarily expensive, because what it brings to table is the flexibility and the speed. And, on that line, Ram, the next question I wanted to ask you was, time is of essence in today's highly competitive market.
Correct.
And you need to launch, features faster, products faster. And to enable this time to market, it needs a very good partnership. So how has been your experience working with our customer engineering teams? And you alluded a great lot about how you partnered towards
Yeah.
reducing costs.
Yeah, I mean, the reducing cost itself was the partnering for the features, right? For example, we have collaborated in multiple ways. We have collaborated initially we collaborated on migrating our data. When we started off, majority of these infrastructure related items were either in US or in Singapore, and the Mumbai data center was just coming up. So we had to eventually switch over to the Mumbai data center, and Google helped in a big way in that sense. And we had a few use cases which had limited what do you say, off the shelf access in terms of real time database, that is like a Firebase. And we had very specific use cases which were not covered as part of that out of the box features which are given. Even during that stint, we have reached out to your teams, and your teams guided us ways to do that. And that is when we have partnered with one of your like the premium partners, support partners, and we were able to successfully execute that part also. In that way, the collaboration was just not about it's like we don't understand, or we are coming with use case. Our use cases were very different or peculiar in that sense, because as we were focusing on the kind of features what we want to release to the end customer, and Google had been very supportive in that. That matter of fact, your customer engineering team had been excellent, and probably one of the best in the market, to be honest with you. And this is honest feedback. No, I'm sorry. Even though I know the forum is open, but I still want to give an honest feedback on that one. The team knows exactly what to be given and how to be given. In that way, you get the choices are also imminent over there when they are giving, and it is again, it's not that okay, I give you choices, I give you a bunch of material to read, and you go and read and do whatever you want. That is typically everyone does, but that is not the approach which I have personally seen with the Google Cloud team. They do start the something called as the workshops, and they actually come and show lead by that example, take us through the example, then let the engineering team work on it, get their feedback from them, and then again try to give any betterments from that point, and then ensure to see it to go into production. In that way, what are the products or features which we wanted to develop, we had a full like idea of how it shape up. And then once we are using these tools and probably the applications and the infrastructure, it became much more easier for us to confidently get those features out. So once we have this real-time use cases done, once we have this IoT core and AI, the set of tools being developed, the features was more of product manager coming in and working and churning out them. So that's how it was. And then we strictly follow agile methodologies, and we are able to churn out. To be honest, I mean, we do every 2 weeks or release in that in terms of software. We're on par with any other e-commerce company in that sense, release cycles. And all this happened because of the kind of flexibility we got from Google.
No, absolutely, Ram. And I must say, you folks are innovating in an uncharted territory. There is a lot of industry first you're doing, and working with your team has been equally a pleasure for us. Learning from the kind of stuff that you're doing. So that's been a great partnership. So Ram, one last question from me, and
Sure.
which is going forward, how are you planning on leveraging Google Cloud to support your expansion plans as well as new capabilities to improve the right experience for your customers?
So there are a couple of main programs which we are like working with Google next 3 months. There's a short-term program and there is a long-term program. The short-term programs are on around the total cost of ownership, and we are, as I said, the recent one is the PVMs what we are working on, and we still have to take it into production. And we're also working around the managed services and the betterment of the managed services over a short-term to long-term period, and that is something which we are also working as a program. Apart from that, we are actually going in a collaborative way in terms of taking out software as a service, and that is one of the areas where Google is really, I mean, the front runner for that one, because you always give that infrastructure as a service or software as a service as the key output areas, and we wanted to you leverage that kind of like knowledge, leverage that kind of expertise, and work on some collaborative and interesting. What do you say, products and features, and probably where time comes, we'll come again and do in a forum and talk about those collaborative products and features, because at this point what I can say that they are definitely uncharted territories in India, and the kind of innovation are probably the kind of products and features what we would combinedly work upon would have an effect. At least the impact areas could be discussed in this forum. It would be around electric vehicles. It would be around the entire charging infra. It would be around how do you give a better charging experience to the customers, and how do you give a very very good customer experience for a two-wheeler, which is the rarest of the rare from an Indian two-wheeler bike industry as such, right? The bike industry is more of okay, you get a bike and it's up to you, and after that you just take it and go and just come to us when you have some problem. But giving a rich experience, giving a super very very good customer experience is the motto for us, and that is where we are collaboratively working with the Google team.
Thanks, Ram. Thanks, and it's been absolutely wonderful listening to you because I'm sure as you innovate, the future of mobility for us in the coming decade is going to look a lot different than it has been in the past. You've already made a big change. Growing up, I couldn't imagine riding bikes like these, but they're absolutely wonderful. So just to summarize, what we heard from you, Ram, because there's a lot of valuable insights for some of our audiences who are building the next innovative product out there. You talked about your journey right from IIT Madras and the dream and the vision to building an intelligent scooter, which is today come to life. Not many would have given it a chance on Indian roads, even 5 years or 10 years back,
Yeah.
maybe. So in that sense, it's been an amazing journey. I think the key points that you called out is the ability to being agile, being open, not going with constraints and fixed mindset, and releasing features really fast. You're now talking about software as a service for a scooter manufacturer. That itself talks about the mindset that you're looking at and how you're leveraging cloud and all the efficiencies out there. And you do all this at phenomenal speed while also being conscious of the cost efficiencies that you need to derive. So in that sense, it's an amazing journey that we can all learn from. And thank you for sharing that with all of us here out today.
I need to thank you for having me here and arranging for us to talk on this one. As I said, the main points are leveraging cloud and being. I see one of the driving. If I may, I'll just take a couple of minutes to summarize from my side also. Yeah. So one of the key points is everyone thinks products and features for any manufacturing, whether it is a two-wheeler, four-wheeler, or heavy vehicle manufacturing, always comes as an afterthought. So one of the principal ideas of Ather Energy was not to have these products and features as an afterthought, but actually come into the entire assembly of building the vehicle itself. So our thought processes start when we start looking at designing the vehicle itself. What kind of products or features would go into it? So it is to have that kind of probably an insight into having a product, or probably the kind of features what you want to give to the customer, and keeping the customer experience in mind right from the time of inception is very important. That is where probably when you're looking at manufacturing, when you're looking at vehicle manufacturing, especially in India, and the kind of electric vehicles is like almost like an alien thing about 5 years back. Having these products and features built right from the scratch is very important. That is where Ather had been the differentiator, and that is where we are also innovating, and we are also being extremely open for the feedback, being iterative in the sense of understanding ourselves from the rest of the market from an automotive standpoint, and also understanding ourselves from a software standpoint, with working with people like Google, and understanding and taking a right kind of a feedback and getting into the mix of products and features. So that way, it had been like a great journey, I would say.
Absolutely. Proud to be associated. Chipra, I would hand it back to you now.
Thank you so much, Ram and Chintan. So Ram, a really powerful story that you have, told us, that it's built on Google Cloud. So while you were talking about a lot of matrix business as well as IT matrix, I think the story of Ather Energy that you narrated today is, I would not take it as just a technology or a cloud story alone, but really an inspiration of how technology can help explore possibilities, that can empower and drive the growth narrative for a whole nation of 1 billion and more people. And so, in that ways, I think the fact that, cloud helped, or technology or cloud helped you enable do that, I think that really talks of the possibilities that businesses or innovators can explore going forward, and the fact that you did it with limited resources while still being rapidly scalable for future growth, I think that's highly commendable. And that also brings me to the point, where when a few years back we were talking about how vehicles will become more and more software driven rather than just a hardware. I think probably a few years back, maybe 5 to 6 years back, people would have laughed at that idea that mobility will be more software driven. But I think that is something that is coming true today, and seeing the kind of work that you're doing, I think that is going to be the future going forward. And we're really excited and looking forward to seeing the new capabilities that you add to the platform in the future. So thank you so much for giving us a peek into your journey. And thanks, Chintan, for that wonderful discussion. And while you were talking about Chintan and Ram, while you were talking about the journey, and about how cloud played a key role in that journey, I realized that it's not just the customer and the cloud provider. I think it really, what connects the two of them is really the partner, and the partner has a very important role to play in ensuring that the journey that you started on is really optimized and you get the maximum results that you set out to achieve. And the cloud partner plays a key role in that. And to give you the perspective of the partner, I would like to invite Bharat Yaragati, practice head for cloud services at Niveus Solutions. Bharat has around 14 years of experience in delivering excellence to clients by partnering in their modernization journeys across verticals like BFSI, digital natives, automotive, and media. And Bharat is a cloud practitioner and an agile coach. So I will let Bharat talk about Niveus Solutions. And before that, if you have any questions for Ram, Chintan, or Bharat, do feel free to write to us in that Q&A box, and we will take those questions soon after Bharat's session. So Bharat, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Shipra. So, thanks, Ram and Chintan, for walking us through, the key aspects of this journey, right? Like Shipra mentioned, it's in fact very inspiring, not just from the cloud point of view, but, entering that market which has never been conquered before, and, where people haven't dared to enter, right? So first of all, congratulations to Ather Energy and team for entering this zone and bringing a lot of technology and innovation to us, to the common man, right? And we are very privileged to have been a part of this journey and helping in whatever way we can as a Google partner, right? So what I'll do is I have a small deck, so I'll quickly share that. Please let me know once you're able to see it, and I'll just quickly walk you through that. So is my screen visible?
Yes, Bharat, it's visible.
All right, great, awesome. So continuing the topic, right, there were a few key takeaways which I made note while Ram and Chintan were discussing. One is that breaking the myth about the managed services are costly and not effective, right? So thanks for breaking it down for our audience that yes, managed services are more effective than the non-managed ones, which the teams struggle to get the optimum output from it, right? And the second aspect was me myself being an agile practitioner and a coach. I'm so glad to see that the new age teams are able to churn out releases once every 2 weeks. That's the kind of ideal goal which any organization would want to be, right? So quickly, let me introduce Niveus Solutions. We have been a cloud partner for over a year and a half now, and we've been partnering, helping our clients along with the Google Cloud in their journey towards modernization, right? So when I say modernization, so we have typically been helping our clients in the area of application infrastructure as well as data modernization journeys. We are about 180 people strong, and we've been growing at the rate of 5x year on year. And we have a cloud-based, the customer base in both India and in US, right? So that's a quick introduction of ourselves. And these are the areas of expertise within cloud, Google Cloud that we have, which has been even recognized by the Google Cloud team. We have been, certified, or we have the expertise in servicing industries like healthcare and life sciences, BFSIs, and media and entertainment. When it comes to the workloads, we have been, helping our clients in modernizing the legacy applications, building cloud-native applications, right? New business channels using API and PG as a platform. Custom-built application migrations, and when it comes to technology, we pretty much use most of them, right? The compute, the app dev, the IAMs, the databases and storage and delivery, and in the CDN area. Right? So that's a quick bird's eye view of the expertise we have with respect to Google Cloud Enterprise. So coming to Ather, right? So Ather Energy had a vision of basically building a feature flag management system that would remotely manage the features of the connected devices and equipments, or vehicles, like I would call them, right? First part was, of course, the migration of moving from the data centers from their global locations to the Mumbai data center, like Ram mentioned. And second piece of it was to build a graphical user interface which should basically get all the live real-time updates, and with an option for the admins to push real-time updates, which could be properties or configurations of flags to their devices, right? And this we were able to achieve it using the Firebase real-time database, like Ram mentioned earlier, right? So these are some of the components of the Google solution ecosystem that have been used in building this particular platform. So of course, the app engine and the compute engines have been used for the compute part of it, and for the initial storage, we have used the cloud storage, and the key component is definitely the Firebase real-time database. Then there are developer tools like container registry, cloud SDKs that have been used, and when it comes to network, we've used the VPC in this particular engagement, and even a premium network tier. And when it comes to security, we all know that Google is the best in class, because pretty much every product that which has come out of Google is 100% secure, and we have seen it. We are all using it in our day-to-day activities. It could be our YouTube, it could be Gmail, it could be pretty much everything, right? So all the identity access management at the project level, at the developer level, has been clearly defined, and there's the Google KMS, which is key management system, which has been used, right? So I think Ram has given a quick introduction, or a brief on how this platform is going to change the way the industry is moving towards, right? So that's pretty much about the Ather Energy. Coming to the other offerings which we have from Niveus Solutions, which we have to offer as a Google Cloud partner, are with the infra modernization, which could include your VM migrations, setting up the whole hybrid cloud, especially in the BFSI segment, and even in the the cloud native companies would like to have some of their information still hosted on premises, right? So here is where the whole cloud hybrid cloud comes into picture, and we are even talking about multi-cloud these days with Google introducing Anthos, right? Where you could have your workloads deployed across Google Cloud or on-prem or any other public cloud service provider, and you could still manage and control it from one single control room, that is Anthos, right? The other components are containerizing and optimizing the lift and shift workloads, infrastructure as a code, building cloud native applications using microservices, hosting them on containers, orchestrating them using the managed service of the Google Cloud, that is the Kubernetes, right? Building applications which are highly dynamic, which scale dynamically in nature, which are highly secure, which are very high performing, and also cost effective because of the pay per usage policy or the model that Google Cloud has, right? When it comes to data modernization, we have been helping our clients which have a huge load of legacy data that's been collected, or with the new logging and the new set of data that's coming in, and how to build, one is first how to clean up this data using the ETL processes, the modern ETL processes, and how do we then use tools like BigQuery, and then build dashboards for predictive analysis using tools like Looker and Data Studio, right? Then of course comes the cloud security. Security is defined at various levels when it comes to cloud engagements, right? It could be at your container level, at your network level, at your API input, endpoints level, at your identity access management, through to who can actually access the code, who can check in the code, things like that. And the way we kind of organize it is, again, the same way in which Ram mentioned, that it always starts with the workshop, right? Where we first want to understand what exactly are the challenges that the business objectives that you're trying to achieve, and how is your current ecosystem, and then we come up with our own approach of this is a proposed solution on Google Cloud, how it's going to look like. We talk through the pros and cons of it, and we try to address all those things. And then once your teams and our teams are both comfortable about, okay, this is our new approach and this is how we're going to take the next step, that's when the implementation starts, right? And then of course we go through the drill of implementing it, with the rigorous testing, setting up the whole CI/CD pipeline for continuous development and integration. And then once the systems or the the workloads are up and live on the cloud, we take care of the managed service as a cloud, where there will be continuous optimization done to these systems to give you the best of both the cloud, the security part of it, the performance part of it, and scalability part of it, right? So that's a brief of the cloud technology offerings that we have in Google Cloud. And these are some of the industries that we have been working with across various sectors, over and above Ather Energy. That's under BFSI. We've been working with banks like ICICI and LIC Housing Finance, where we have built cloud native applications. We have built hybrid applications for them, right? And we've been working with media partners like Star India and Aon, and we've been working with a couple of healthcare clients like Healthcare and Wise. This is predominantly in the US, where we have built applications, again, using microservices, containers, and Kubernetes, hosted on Google Cloud, which has enabled a touchless consultation with your doctors, where you can use the applications to book appointments, have a virtual consultation done, virtual diagnosis, upload your reports, and then get prescriptions and even procure medicines using one single application, right? And of course, in the automotive field, we have been working in the area of IoT and telematics with the giants in the industry like the TVS, ASL, right? So these are some of the insights into our clients. And these are some of the other clients whose businesses we have been boosting, and we continue to add more to this clientele list of ours. So that's pretty much it from my side. And thank you once again, Ram and Chintan, for walking us through that journey, and Shipra for moderating it so well. It's been a pleasure being a part of this session. Back to you, Shipra. Thank you.
Thanks, Bharat. So we now have some questions from our audience, and I will take up those questions one by one. The first question is for you, Ram, and the question is that we want to understand that you have been using BigQuery and other Google native services as part of your data analytics platform extensively. So how do you see these services helping you scale and improve your data accuracy for decision making?
That's a easy question to answer. So BigQuery comes with lots of like, what do you say, the kind of analytics or the kind of algorithms or the mathematical functions which are available on BigQuery when you're querying it are pretty straightforward. In that sense, if you want to run some amount of analytics which are non-deep learning, and which are like straightforward, where you want to look at the averages, or when you want to look at mean and medians for some data what you are churning out, right? For that kind of use cases, BigQuery is like in the querying engine itself comes with those support of those functions and different like algorithms in that one. And that way, it gives you advantage to use BigQuery and use it effectively. But if you want to have a deep learning kind of a model, then there are a set of other AI services or tools which are available on Google, where you can actually easily plug your BigQuery data into it. So the advantage with BigQuery is that the plugins what you have are different types of data sources which you can connect to, the way you can export the data or probably import the data into BigQuery. That makes the life much more easier. So whenever we want to run analytics and all, we typically run all our queries on BigQuery itself. So the way it's all about structuring your data, and rest of all is taken care by the query engine itself. Yeah, that's all from me, Shipra.
Yeah. Thanks, Ram. So the next question is for Chintan. The question is that what are the key differentiators which Google Cloud brings in the AI and ML space compared to your competitors, and how are these differentiators going to help the digital native organizations?
Sure. Thanks, Shipra. I'll break it down into two parts, Shipra. One is AI and ML, as you see, as everyone knows, there's a strong history of innovation that Google brings to table, having properties which are about 10 properties which are over 1 billion users, and building for them over many years. I think that's an area where Google has made a lot of advances. With Google Cloud, our objective is to democratize that know-how and that technical knowledge that we've gathered over many years for all our customers who adopt these technologies to solve business problems of their own. So that's been our mantra, and that's translated into the way we've structured some of the services and enabled customers to start leveraging the power of AI and ML into products that they are building without having to really invest very heavily in this capability or the skill sets that's required to build such models. So that's been the key differentiator, if you were to ask me. And of course, this applies to many areas of AI and ML, whether it is building some solid recommendation systems or learning for vision and voice based systems which help you solve real world problems, to leveraging the power of data and building models that allow you to get a lot more intelligence out of that. So that's been our focus. And it's, I think the other part of the question was about digital natives, and it's probably today the most relevant to digital natives because digital natives are at the forefront of innovation. and the ability to use these powerful algorithms, which are easily available and accessible, and start building on differentiated products. That's the best way the digital natives can leapfrog many years of innovation while they focus on the core strength of the product or service that they build.
Yeah, great, Chintan. Bharat, the next question has come for you, and it is, what are the key challenges which you see working with digital natives, and how Niveus can help them address it using Google Cloud?
Yeah, thanks for that, Shipra. See, while we are working with digital natives, right, most of these companies already have the maturity, right? They don't really have a lot of legacy applications that need to be migrated, or any kind of baggages, like I would like to call them, right? So they're already pretty much present on cloud, but a couple of digital natives are early adopters of cloud, where they would have probably moved their or they would have just spawned in a couple of VMs and started developing and deploying their workloads, and started consuming it. Yes, they would be leveraging a few aspects of clouds to their advantage. However, the challenges here is, while they are digital natives, they might not have evolved, or they might not have adopted what's happening today in the world of digital natives, right? So, for example, that's where the whole modernization aspect comes into picture. You might have built a monolithic application and hosted it on cloud and call yourself a digital native, but that's not how it is, right? So there are still ways to optimize your applications, both at the performance level, with respect to the cost and the scalability part of it, by breaking it down into microservices and using containers and using Kubernetes to kind of orchestrate it. So this would give you an even more edge and better ways to leverage what the cloud technology has to offer today, even for the digital natives, right? So other set of companies who are already matured, who have been using these workloads, who already have started using microservices, etc. But even they would still have key challenges in kind of optimization. One could be the skill set with the limited people that they have, or other could be they would rather be interested in focusing more on innovating and adding new features to their products, rather than sitting and trying to optimize what's already up and running, right? So this is where we as partners come in of modernization, and then we've been helping them optimize these systems to the way they want it, so that their teams can focus more on innovation, and we take care of the whole applications which are already in cloud. So I wouldn't call them as challenges. It's more like how can we make something which is already good better, right? So that is where we have been helping the digital natives.
Yeah. Thanks, Bharat. Ram, we have two more questions that have come for you, so I will take them up one by one. The first question is that from an end user perspective, say a customer of the Ather scooter, how do they get the feel or enjoy this collaboration of Ather and Google? How does it actually get down to the experience for the customers?
For end customers, the features are right there on the bike and also on their mobile app. The prominent features which are there are the ride statistics, or the navigation itself, the ride statistics, the navigation reminders. There are a bunch of features which are built, and this is all in collaboration with Google. Especially the ride statistics, which Chintan had spoken about, the entire the BigQuery, or probably about the data storage, the questions which you asked. All this customer-facing features are built based on those services or tools. So in that way, customers actually get to see everything in real time. So basically, they also get to see in real time any issues or errors happening on their bikes, or probably their service reminders, and all these things are happening leveraging the Google Cloud platform, because we leverage not only the platform for applications, but also we leverage things like notifications, we leverage real-time analytics, we send real-time data. So all this is happening because of this collaboration. Yeah, Shipra, I think we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think how the customer is actually getting to experience, while at the back end you have this the cloud infrastructure or the cloud platform which is there, but for the customer who are who don't care about what platform do you have at the back end, it all that matters is how they experience the product, and that's very interesting. The kind of features.
That's a very interesting question, also, to be honest with you, because everyone thinks that if a technology company is go partnering with someone, they'll always talk about technical gyan and just get out of the session. But whatever we have done with Google, about 90% of the work is visible to the customer, and we are very, very proud of it. Whether it could
Yeah.
be navigation, whether what you see on the dashboard on the vehicle, or what you see on a customer app, everything had been built in collaboration. We are also very, very extremely, in that sense, we are very, very conscious. Just for the sake of using technology, we don't use it. We use it really to enhance the customer experience. That is the motto of our company.
Great, thanks. That's a very interesting perspective that you brought in. And while this question was from a customer perspective, the next question is actually from the manufacturing perspective. So the question for you is that Google IoT or AI is helping Ather. If you can maybe relate it with more examples from the manufacturing floor. If you can give some examples from there.
Uh, I can probably give an example of how quickly you can onboard onto IoT core of Google. So basically, if you're a manufacturer, whether you're a vehicle manufacturer, whether you're even in that sense an industry or industrial manufacturer, and you have a bunch of equipment or like machines with you, and you want to capture some data, and all of these machines have some amount of data to be sent, and that is where you're looking to capture all the data and crunch the data to understand what is happening with your different vehicles, or probably the industrial equipment what you have. And you really don't have to worry about how would the data transfer onto the Google Cloud, and where do you storage and all, because all of these, as I started during the questionnaire, one of the things I said about it is that most of almost about 70 to 80% of this IoT, the entire stack, is do it yourself. So you would get handy like articles, you would get lots of examples on onboarding it. In that way, the biggest advantage going with Google, or even as a manufacturer, or probably as an industrialist in this sense, is that you can quickly onboard your stuff and try it out. And once you try it out, then you'll get to know what is that you need, what is that you want to work out with, and then probably start investing in that area if that area makes sense. Because just for the reason that there is an IoT core and everyone is talking about IoT core and AI, it doesn't mean that everyone has to try it, because the use cases are different. In that sense, the biggest advantage going with Google, as I said, was that most of it is do it yourself. And at least as a manufacturer, at least as the vehicle manufacturer, or industrial equipment manufacturer, or probably an owner of industrial equipment, you can try it out. You can see what use cases would work out, and the kind of tools or the managed services, whatever they are available on Google Cloud, will give you a very good insights into what you want to look into, and then you can use the expertise from there to enhance that experience.
Yeah, great. I think, yeah. So, while we have spoken a lot about a customer experience, I think even for the traditional manufacturing organizations, not just from a digital natives perspective, but even for traditional manufacturing organizations, this can be of great use, on the shop floor. But like you said, it's about exploring the right use cases at the end of the day. That the technology is there, but finding the right use cases. Great, thank you so much, Ram. I think it was
Thank you
a
so much.
brilliant session, and I must thank you for really, kind of inspiring all of us today with the story of Ather Energy. And we really look forward to what the future holds for the company. I'm sure it's going to be a bright future, considering the innovation that you have brought about into the market is kind of redefining the whole segment, and the kind of social economic impact that it will have on the population of the country is something is something which I think it's of an unprecedented scale. So thank you once again, and
Thank you so much, and you really hosted very well, and I really appreciate all your kind words and the way you have hosted this, and thanks so much, Chintan and Bharat, for the questionnaire, and also Bharat for showcasing all the things. And in fact, we worked with Niveus for one of the engagements, and it had been a pleasure working with them. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ram. And thank you, Chintan and Bharat, for your time as well. And thank you to all our attendees who have been part of this session. I'm sure there's a lot of insights that you have to take back with you. And in case you have any questions, any more questions, do drop them to us and we will get them accordingly answered from Ram, Chintan, or Bharat, depending on what the question is. So great. Have a great evening, all of you.
Got it.
And thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye.
Chintan.
Thank
Bye.
you.